Okay, we're back here today. We are doing a lift kit on the 97 Jeep Cherokee. It's my buddy's Jeep. And it's a little bit of like a custom lift kit that was put together, so I don't have a brand name for you, anything like that, but it's gonna be 3.5 inches in the front, 4.5 in the rear. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. When he takes the thing out camping and loads down the Jeep, it's squatted and the back is, laying a lot lower on the ground, so he's trying to get rid of that and offset it with a 4.5 inch lift in the rear. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll take you through the entire process and I'll show you all the parts that we've got for it right now. But other than that, pretty standard. I'll show you some tips along the way as well. So here's all the parts laid out around the ground. It's pretty straightforward. It's a decent lift. Everything's pretty chunky. These are the upper control arms, so we've got all new uppers. And those are adjustable. And those are all new lower control arms. Those are both adjustable. We've got a track bar here that is adjustable as well. We've got some sway bar disconnects. We've got a progressive overload spring here. So all that is it's, you'll see it a little bit more later, but it's basically, it's not gonna ride super stiff. It should ride still really nice once we throw this lift on, because that's a giant coil. We've got the leaf packs right over here. We'll get the full thing out in a sec. We have a transfer case drop kit right here. We've got brake lines for the front and rear right there. We've got Bilstein shocks all around. Those are pretty nice. Bump stop kit right there. And then we've got wheel spacers over there for the front and rear, it looks like. Now I think that's all the parts just about. I could be missing a few small things here and there, but I think that's all we got, and I think it's all we're gonna need. So, whoops. Next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna walk around. I'll take some measurements for the front and the rear so we can figure out exactly how much lift we netted after this. Now when you do this, you wanna basically go, there's a couple different ways you can do it, but if you just measure this gap, that's not the best way to go, because if you increase tire size, that's a little bit different there. But you can measure to the bottom of the fender and then the center of your little rim or your wheel or your axle. Right around there to there is what we're going to take our measurements for. And then we'll figure out exactly how much lift we got. Step one, take the wheels off. Now that we're in here, don't lose your lug nuts. First thing that we're gonna do on the rear is get rid of this rear sway bar. They're really not necessary. It bolts in right here, and then right here, attached to the top of your spring plate cap for your U-bolts. You're gonna have to do that on both sides. So remove all that stuff. Now's a good time to throw some PB Blaster on your U-bolts if these guys are rusted and crusty. Mine are okay though. Well, not my Jeep, but my buddy's Jeep, they look fine. I don't think we're gonna have a problem. So we'll zip those out now. Oh, my life, dude. This thing is, oh, it's on there good. Not for long though. U-bolts are out, those came off easy. Now we're taking out the spring pack. We've got 21mm up here towards the front of the vehicle, and then I haven't done the back yet, but towards the front of the vehicle is where you're gonna run into issues. If you are gonna run into issues, this bolt here, it goes into the inside of your frame, and then there's a nut welded on the inside of your frame. So a lot of times that can break off. And then this thing will just kind of free spin. You won't be able to get it out or put it back in. If that happens, you got to go on the inside of your frame. This one has frame stiffeners, but go to the back side. You need to cut a little access hole in it. Then you can get a wrench on the back side of the nut for this bolt. And then you can back it out, put in your new leaf spring, hold the thing, re-weld it on the inside, and then weld your frame back up on the inside. So if that happens, that's what you got to do, unfortunately. But so far,
5 hours of work, Russell?
Actual work time, it just depends how quickly you can cut that muffler out and then cut a hole in the frame. It shouldn't take too long if you just cut everything off. You just got to put it all back. So Pain in the butt, but so far so good. We have both of the bolts on the springs out on both sides for the most part, just hanging in there. Now we're lifting the vehicle up, but we got to have the axle drop, so we had to take off the shocks. They were limiting our travel. It's an 18mm nut on the bottom right there, and then it's 1/2" bar pins up on the top of the vehicle. So those are coming out. Then we'll raise this bad boy up and we'll try to wiggle the springs out. Springs are out. We had to end up removing the shackle just to get clearance for our bolt from the gas tank. So both springs are out. Peep those knee pads though. Always be smart. All right, here's the spring packs back here. Now a couple things to mention. We already transferred the shackle over. We're gonna end up putting the bolt through on the front side rather than the gas tank side this time around because there was no clearance for us. So it shouldn't be an issue in the future. We shouldn't have to take off the shackles in the future. So the skinnier side of your leaf spring is gonna be in the back by the shackle, and the big fatter side goes to the front. That's all you really need to know. We don't have anything, we're not taking apart the spring packs here for this guy. So we're just gonna shove those up in there and that should be good to go. So it took a little bit of finessing to get these spring packs in here. We ended up having to remove everything from the rear side just to wiggle around the front side to get these bolts threaded in. And then we could set back up the shackle and everything up there. Now we're going to do the new U-bolts, bolt the axle back to the springs. Then we're gonna set the thing down on jack stands underneath the axle so that all the weight is on the springs, and then we'll tighten everything and torque it down to spec. And by spec, I mean just hold the impact wrench until we get tired. We got the U-bolts on. They're still a little too long for my impact to be able to actually crank it down, so I'm gonna lop off the top couple inches of these right now. The only other thing to make sure is, make sure you got a buddy on the opposite side of you, so when you're shooting the sparks, you have somebody to catch the sparks. And the other pro tip is it's always good if you have a gas tank in between the sparks and your buddy. Okay, the rear is done. Everything but the brake line has been installed. Those nice Bilsteins are in, looking crispy. We're gonna move up to the front over here. So first step on the front, it's just gotta get everything kind of disconnected and get some space here. So for us on this kit, we have a quick disconnect. So it's basically gonna be a longer sway bar link, this piece. A lot of lift kits are 3 inches, 3.5. You'll just have a sway bar drop bracket up here. But ours is just gonna be a new link. So we're removing this piece. It's gonna be a bolt up there and a bolt there that's gotta come out. We also need to get the shock out of the way. It's, I think it's bar pin on the bottom again. So those are probably gonna be 13 or 1/2. And then you've got up top here, that is the nut for the top of the shock. So you gotta get all that out. We'll do that now, and then we'll start. Probably after that, the next thing will be control arms to get them out of the way and shove our springs in. The old parts pile is now mounting back here. And back up front, making some progress. We have both control arms, upper and lower. Well, okay, that's a lie. On the other side, we have upper and lower gone. This one, the lower's gone, the upper's still in there. The track bar's been taken out, and I think the sway bar was already disconnected, and now we have the actual shocks out, or the springs out. So that's all pretty straightforward. The track bar, it bolts down here through this hole. It's a 15mm. It's got a little tab on the back of it, so you don't have to hold it, which is nice. Just back at the 15mm. The castle nut up top is a
3/4, and then pick a fork to get the track bar out. Control arms, just a bunch of fussing with them, and then get them out. There's 2 bolts or 1 bolt on each side of the control arm. The springs come right out once you drop the whole axle. I think that's about it for now. I know I'm forgetting something, but we'll probably do the bump stops right now, and then I'll do check-in later.